My fiancé slept with my roommate and thought I'd never know so. I recorded their confession and played it at our engagement party. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and for most of our relationship, I thought my fiancée Lauren was the love of my life. We met at a close friend's wedding 5 years ago, one of those warm, candlelit evenings where everything feels cinematic. I remember she spilled champagne on her dress and laughed instead of panicking. That laugh hooked me instantly. It wasn't forced or polite. It was real, the kind of laugh that makes you think, this is someone I could build a life with. We spent the night talking under fairy lights until the venue staff kicked us out. I drove her home that night, and she held my arm like she already knew she belonged there. After that, we were inseparable. Lauren was smart, ambitious, and warm in a way that made everyone love her. She'd text me good morning before I woke up, and she'd always wait up for me when I worked late. People called us the power couple, and maybe for a while, we really were. We moved into a small apartment together, one she picked because it was close to work and full of light. I remember watching her set up our living room, humming as she unpacked candles and photos, like she was building a home, not just decorating one. We laughed about growing old together, about the names of our future kids. Everything felt so certain, so safe. When I proposed, she cried, the kind of tears that convince you you've done something right. She said yes, wrapped her arms around me, and whispered, "You're my forever." My best friend and roommate, Jason, cheered louder than anyone else when he heard. He even helped us pick that same apartment, the one where all of this would later fall apart. If someone had told me that the two people I trusted most were laughing behind my back, I would have called them insane. Jason wasn't just my roommate. He was my brother in everything but blood. We met during freshman orientation in college, two awkward kids lost in a sea of strangers. We bonded over bad cafeteria food, late-night gaming sessions, and pulling all-nighters to barely pass exams. He was the guy who gave me a place to crash when my dad died unexpectedly, who stood by me when I nearly failed out of school because grief had eaten me alive. When I say I trusted Jason, I mean I trusted him. He knew every major detail of my life, my fears, my insecurities, the way I overanalyze everything and pretend I don't. When I started dating Lauren, he was the first person I introduced her to. I remember how he joked, "If you mess this up, I'm taking her side." I laughed at the time. After college, we decided to keep living together, me, Jason, and eventually Lauren. Rent was easier to split, and truthfully, it just felt natural. Jason had a quiet presence. He never overstepped, never caused drama. He gave us space and knew when to disappear for date nights or big fights. And when I started thinking about proposing, it was Jason I talked to first. He helped me plan the whole thing, picked up the ring while I was working, decorated the rooftop where I popped the question, even filmed the whole thing on my phone. When she said yes, Jason actually cried. He hugged us both and said, "I'm honored to witness this. I never saw a single red flag. Not one. If anything, I thought Lauren and Jason were more like siblings by that point, teasing each other, bickering over TV shows, sharing inside jokes. It never felt inappropriate. It felt like home." So when things started to shift, when those quiet moments began to feel off, it took me way too long to admit that something wasn't right, and by the time I did, it had already gone too far. Jason wasn't just my roommate. He was the closest thing I had to a brother. We met our first year of college after both of us got lost trying to find an economics lecture. He was loud, confident, the kind of guy who could walk into a room full of strangers and walk out with 10 new friends. I was quieter, more grounded. Somehow, it worked. We balanced each other. When my dad passed away during sophomore year, Jason didn't leave my side. He handled my professors, brought me food when I couldn't eat, even called my mom to make sure she was okay. That's the kind of friend he was, the one you don't ever expect to betray you. After college, we rented a small apartment together. I got a decent job in tech, and he bounced between freelance gigs. It wasn't always easy, but we made it work. He'd cover my half when I was short, and I'd pay his share when he was struggling. We didn't keep score. That's how close we were. When I met Lauren, Jason was the first person I introduced her to. They clicked right away. She laughed at his dumb impressions, and he teased her like they'd known each other for years. I actually loved that they got along. It felt like I was building a real family, my best friend and the woman I wanted to marry. When I finally proposed, Jason was right there helping me plan the whole thing. He even filmed the moment she said yes, cheering louder than anyone else. I remember thinking, man, I'm lucky. Not everyone gets to share their life with people this loyal. So when Lauren suggested that Jason should keep living with us for a while to help save for his own place, I didn't even hesitate. I said, of course, he's family. If only I knew how dangerous that word family would become in my story. It started small, so small I almost didn't notice. One night I came home from work a little earlier than usual. The apartment was quiet, but not in a peaceful way, the kind of quiet that made my chest tighten. As I walked through the door, I heard laughter from the living room, but when I stepped in, they both went dead silent. Jason was sitting on one end of the couch, Lauren on the other. A show was paused on the screen, but I could tell they hadn't been watching it. Lauren looked at me like I'd caught her doing something not guilty exactly, just ... startled. Jason gave me this awkward half smile and mumbled, "Didn't know you'd be home already?" I laughed it off and joked, "Am I interrupting your date night?" Lauren rolled her eyes and said, "Please, don't be weird." That should have been the first sign, but it wasn't until the next week that the second crack showed. I found Lauren wearing one of Jason's old hoodies. I only noticed because it had this tiny bleach stain near the sleeve, something I remember because I accidentally ruined it during a late-night cleaning frenzy when I asked her about it. She casually said, "Oh, I got cold." His was just lying on the chair. No big deal, except Jason never left his clothes in the living room. He was neat to a fault. I asked Jason about it later that night, trying to keep it light. He blinked at me like he had no idea what I was talking about. "She wore my hoodie?" he asked. Didn't even notice. I brushed it off again. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe I was being paranoid. But something about that moment lodged itself in my chest like a splinter, small but impossible to ignore. And soon, it would start to fester. It's wild how quickly you can go from feeling safe to feeling like a stranger in your own home. Things between Lauren and Jason didn't just feel off, they felt manufactured. Too careful. Too measured. Like actors who forgot the scene they were supposed to be playing, I started noticing how Jason would suddenly head out for a walk whenever I came home early, or how Lauren would close her laptop a little too quickly when I entered the room. Once, I asked what she was working on and she snapped, "Why are you so interested in my emails lately?" I hadn't even mentioned emails. The worst part? When I tried to talk to her, just talk, gently she flipped the script. "You're acting paranoid," she said one night, arms crossed, eyes cold. "Is this what marriage is going to be like? You policing everything I do?" That hit me hard. I hadn't accused her of anything. I'd simply said I felt like we weren't connecting the way we used to. I even blamed myself, said maybe work was stressing me out and I was reading into things. Jason played his role too. "Bro, you okay?" he asked, while handing me a beer one night. "You've been wound tight lately. Maybe take a break, go visit your mom or something." Asterisk, he said it so casually like he cared, but something in his eyes didn't sit right. There was no warmth, just calculation. They weren't just making me question the relationship. They were making me question my own perception of reality. I started double-checking things, texts, receipts. Every normal moment suddenly felt like it had a hidden layer. I didn't want to become the jealous fiancé. I didn't want to be that guy, but their words didn't match their actions. And the more I tried to find solid ground, the more it felt like they were pulling the rug out from under me. Something was happening behind my back. I just didn't have proof, not yet. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember because Lauren had just left for a girls' night with a few coworkers. Jason was supposed to be out too, said he was hitting the gym, maybe grabbing a drink afterward. I was alone in the apartment, bored, and scrolling through my emails when a soft ping echoed from the kitchen. Lauren had left her iPad charging on the counter. I never touched her stuff, not because I didn't have access. We shared everything, but because I respected boundaries. Still, that ping, it was instinct. I glanced over, and on the screen was a preview from Jason. Just a heart emoji. No words, no context. Just that, my stomach dropped. Something in me went cold. I tapped the message. I wish I hadn't, or maybe I'm glad I did. Inside was a thread, weeks of conversations I'd never seen before. Some flirty, some explicit, some mocking. Jason had sent her a photo of my proposal set up months earlier with the caption, "Poor guy doesn't even know he's setting up his own cuckold ceremony." I kept scrolling. Voice memos, screenshots, one of them laughing in bed or abed. While I was away visiting my mother for the weekend, my hands were shaking. I remember grabbing the edge of the kitchen counter just to stay upright. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe for what felt like 5 minutes. Instead, I opened my laptop and emailed every file to myself, photos, audio, screenshots. I labeled the folder Insurance. Then I locked the screen, put the iPad back exactly how I found it, and sat on the couch. In silence, when Lauren came home hours later, she kissed me like nothing had changed. Jason walked in 15 minutes after, hair wet from a shower at the gym. I nodded at both of them, smiled even. But inside me, something had changed forever. I knew, and now. I needed a plan. Once you know the truth, every moment becomes an act. Every smile is forced. Every I love you feels like acid on your tongue. But I didn't want revenge that came from rage. I wanted precision. So I bought a $30 voice recorder off Amazon and hid it behind the TV in the living room, just beneath the soundbar where they always sat when they thought I wasn't home. I told Lauren I had to work longer hours on a new project. Told Jason I'd be at a coworker's place for the week, prepping for a product launch. In reality, I was 5 blocks away at a friend's place, logging into the voice recorder every night to download new files. The first few recordings were innocent enough, some TV chatter, the clink of glasses, music. But on the 4th night, I hit gold or poison. Depending on how you look at it, Jason's voice low and cocky. Do you think he suspects anything? Lauren laughing. Please. He's so obsessed with work right now, I could sleep with you in the next room and he'd still bring me flowers. Jason again. He's planning this whole engagement party, like we're not just milking him dry. Then Lauren dropped the line that made me freeze. I'm just waiting until after the party. His parents already paid the venue deposit. Would be dumb to back out now. There it was, the confirmation, not just of the cheating, but of the manipulation. The betrayal wasn't accidental. It was strategic. I sat in the dark, headphones on, as my fiancée and my best friend laughed about how easy it was to play me. How much of a safe bet I was. They thought they were untouchable. They thought I'd never find out. I had it all recorded word for word. That night, I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt stillness. Like the calm before a storm, I didn't cry. I didn't T-scream. I pressed play again and started plotting. From the outside, everything looked normal. I still kissed Lauren goodbye before work. Still cracked jokes with Jason while we made coffee. But inside, I was sharpening every piece of evidence like a knife. I wasn't going to just expose them. I was going to humiliate them. The idea hit me while staring at the ceiling one night, headphones still clutched in my hand. What if I didn't confront them in private? What if I gave them exactly what they wanted at a party? A perfect little audience and let them reveal who they really were. So I leaned in. I told Lauren I wanted to throw an engagement party. Something big, I said. To celebrate how far we've come? She lit up like a Christmas tree. Jason offered to DJ and suggested a few venues. We ended up picking one with a rooftop view of the skyline. Romantic, picture perfect. I spent the next week editing audio, not the whole recordings, just the worst parts. I layered them over a photo slideshow, pictures of us smiling, kissing, laughing, followed by clips of Jason saying, "He's so dumb." Lauren saying, "I'm just using him till the party's over." I rehearsed the transitions like I was crafting a film. I even added captions, just in case anyone missed a word. Meanwhile, I told friends and family how excited I was. My mom offered to help cater. Jason's sister RSVP'd with a +1. Everyone was looking forward to celebrating us. I smiled through it all, held Lauren's hand in public, shared Instagram stories like we were #goals. They didn't suspect a thing, not even a flicker of doubt in their eyes. And the closer we got to the big night, the calmer I became. Because while they thought they were walking into their victory lap, they were actually walking straight into their own execution. The night of the engagement party was beautiful, disgustingly so. Clear skies. Warm breeze. The rooftop venue lit up with soft string lights and flickering candles. Everything felt like a scene from a movie. And I guess in a way, it was just not the genre they were expecting. Lauren looked stunning in a champagne-colored dress. She kissed my cheek and whispered, "Tonight's perfect." Jason arrived shortly after in a tailored navy suit, grinning like he owned the place. I clapped him on the back like a proud friend. No one, not a single person, suspected what I'd set in motion. My mom brought a homemade cake with our initials. Her dad gave a little speech about the strength of loyalty. I nearly laughed myself sick. The playlist Jason curated played in the background, upbeat, romantic, the usual crowd pleaser. People sipped wine, posed for photos, laughed under the stars. Lauren kept glancing at me with this smug little smile. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. When it came time for speeches, Lauren tugged me forward. "Say something," she said, smiling for the camera. I took the mic with both hands, steady as stone. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," I began. "This party means a lot, not just to celebrate our love, but to celebrate truth." There were a few confused looks. Lauren tilted her head. "Jason was texting someone, so I made a little video," I said, pointing to the projector screen behind us. "It's a compilation of moments, our best memories, the ones I thought defined us." Lauren clapped excitedly. Jason raised his glass. The screen lit up. The first few slides were sweet photos of us laughing at the beach. Our first apartment, Jason grinning at our proposal dinner. I could hear a few guests sighing at how adorable it was. Then, the video cut? Jason's voice. "He's so dumb he might thank us on the wedding night, Lauren. Just wait till the party's over. His parents already paid." The room went silent, and I stood beside them, letting it all play out. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a wave crashing against the shore. At first, people thought it was some kind of joke. Maybe a prank video slipped into the montage. But when Jason's voice came through an asterisk, "We could keep this going for months if he stays this stupid." Asterisk, the room froze. I stood there, watching their faces instead of the screen. Lauren's smile had collapsed into a confused frown, her hand frozen midair with a champagne glass. Jason took one step back, mouth slightly open like he couldn't believe what he was hearing, and then came the real dagger. Lauren's voice again. "Let him think this is love. The apartment, the party, the future it's, all just a free ride." That's when the whispers started. People turned to each other, horrified. My cousin muttered, "What the hell?" while Jason's sister gasped and covered her mouth. My mother's expression went from proud to shattered in a single heartbeat. Jason lunged for the laptop, shouting, "Turn that off!" But I was already a step ahead, had locked the screen and set the video to autoplay until the end. Lauren grabbed my arm, face pale, voice trembling. "What is this? Why are you doing this?" I turned to her calm as ever and said, "I thought you deserved a spotlight." "Both of you?" She blinked, speechless. Jason backed away, like I'd lit the building on fire. When the video ended complete with their laughing confession about using me until the wedding money runs dry, I stepped forward and took the mic again. "Thanks for coming, everyone. Sorry if the entertainment was a little unscripted." A few people chuckled in shock. Some just stood there, unsure whether to stay or run. I walked off the stage and poured myself a drink, and that's when I realized something. This wasn't heartbreak, this was liberation. The party didn't end, it imploded. Lauren stumbled back from the screen, like she'd been physically slapped. Her cheeks were drained of color. Her mouth opened and closed as if trying to form some excuse, some plea. But what could she say? That it was a joke? That I misunderstood a full-length audio confession and months of messages? Jason looked ready to bolt. He shoved past people, mumbling, "This is messed up," as if he was the victim in all this. He wouldn't even meet my eyes. Coward. Lauren's fatherhood always called me. The son he never had looked at her with complete disgust. Her mother just turned away and started crying into a napkin. Guests trickled out in stunned silence, some shaking my hand awkwardly, others walking past without a word. The rooftop that had felt like a fairy tale 2 hours ago now felt like a stage after the final curtain drop. Tables left half full, music forgotten, candles flickering in the breeze like dying memories. When the last guest left, I was alone. Just me, a bottle of scotch someone forgot to take, and the echo of what I'd done. And for the first time, I felt hollow, not victorious, not even angry, just empty. I had exposed the truth, but what was left? I didn't just lose my fiancée, I lost my best friend, my home, my plans, my future. The people I thought would stand beside me at my wedding turned out to be actors in a nightmare. I hadn't written. I sat in one of the folding chairs, tie undone, staring at the skyline like it might offer answers. Did I do the right thing? Was it too much? Had I gone too far? That night, I went home to an apartment that suddenly felt like a crime scene. I packed a single duffel bag and left without a word, no destination, no plan. Just pain and the bitter truth that justice doesn't always feel good. Sometimes justice feels like standing in the ruins of everything you thought was real. I didn't post the video. I didn't need to. Someone else, maybe one of Lauren's coworkers, maybe a friend of Jason's, leaked it. All I know is, by morning, it was everywhere. Reddit, TikTok, some dating forums, even a reaction YouTube channel picked it up and labeled it savage engagement party exposure. She deserved it. It didn't take long for people to figure out their names. Lauren had her Instagram set to public, full of couple photos and hashtag future Mrs. captions. Jason had tagged locations, gym check-ins, clips of him and Lauren laughing like fools. The internet doesn't forget, and it definitely doesn't forgive. Jason's freelance clients dropped him within days. One of them sent me a thank you message, said the guy had always seemed off. Lauren's influencer sponsorship, a small brand she'd been bragging about for months, publicly cut ties. She posted a Notes app apology, saying she'd been betrayed by someone she trusted, but that backfired hard. The comments section lit her up like wildfire. No statements, no follow-ups. I let the world speculate while I watched from a distance. There was nothing left to explain. Lauren tried to call me twice, left voicemails that started angry, turned desperate, then numb. Jason never reached out at all. Maybe he figured silence would save him. Maybe he finally realized that not every betrayal ends quietly. And while they were picking up the pieces of their online reputations, I was trying to remember how to breathe again some nights. I'd scroll through the hundreds of comments, strangers cheering me on, others saying I was cold, some calling it petty vengeance, others legendary. None of them really mattered, because behind all the attention, all the chaos, I was still just a guy who got stabbed in the back by the two people he trusted most, and no viral moment could erase that scar. It's been 6 months. I moved out of that apartment the same week the party blew up, found a new place in a quieter part of town, top floor. No roommates, no memories in the walls. I got a dog, a rescue mutt with big eyes and a cautious heart, kind of like mine. I named him Knox. Something about starting over with a name that sounded strong. Therapy helped more than I expected. I thought I'd walk in angry, but most days I just sat there numb. My therapist once told me, closure isn't a clean-cut door slam. Sometimes it's just learning to live with the scar. And she was right. Lauren emailed me a month after everything went public. The subject line just said, "I'm sorry." I opened it once, read it in silence. She said she never meant for it to go that far, that she didn't know why she did it, that she hoped one day I'd forgive her, not for her sake, but for mine. I didn't respond, not out of bitterness, but because there was nothing left to say. Jason vanished, deleted socials, moved out of state, from what I heard. Someone told me he's working under a different name now. I'm not surprised. Cowards run when the spotlight turns ugly. I don't date much yet, not because I'm scared, but because I'm healing on my own terms. Some nights I sit on my balcony with Knox at my feet, a drink in my hand, and I let the quiet wash over me. I think about the man. I was the guy who bent over backward to protect people who were actively breaking him. And I think about the man I'm becoming, not bitter, just aware. People say revenge is toxic, that it leaves you hollow. Maybe, but sometimes it also plants seeds of self-respect, of clarity, of strength, and now, for the first time in a long time, I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm not wondering if I'm being lied to. I'm not begging to be loved right. I'm just free, and that's enough.